Hey guys, I'm going to do just a quick commentary to start off this video of gameplay that I'm going to be posting with my Hawks rebuild that I'm doing. And this is also to show off my new slider set that I posted on Operation Sports with most recent patch 5 of 2K. And if you're on PSN, make sure you just go over and put in my gamer tag Schneid1 right there, and you can go ahead and grab it. It plays really well. Some of the changes that I did make were defense was too strong for both teams, and teams were shooting really low field goal percentages. User got a slight bump in their success rates, and both teams got nerfed a little bit on their jump shot defense to help guys get open at a realistic rate, which was something that wasn't happening before. No matter what you did, guys wouldn't even get open coming off of screens. It was really frustrating, and it resulted in a lot of highly contested shots that you're obviously going to struggle making no matter who you are. And it led to really low field goal percentages, really low scoring games. I was struggling to hit 75 points through a whole game. It was really frustrating, and I realized that I had overdone it a little bit, so I updated that, and now the game plays a lot better. It's more open. Shooters can get open. The spacing's better. And one of the biggest changes that I made was bumping game speed from 51 to 52. This has been an unbelievable amazing revelation. I kind of didn't like the thought of sticking it up to 52, but I felt the pace of play needed to be improved a little bit, and it's helped a lot of other things. The animations that I saw play out just by bumping up to 52 for both sides, but mostly you notice it more on the CPU since you don't have control over those players. The animations that I saw and how they ran their offense was really alarming, and in a good way. And so 52 has been a huge, awesome adjustment that I feel like I've made to this slider set. So I definitely think it's worth for you guys to go and give these a try. I do have a first half that I was able to record against the Knicks that I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that while it's playing here in a couple minutes, since you don't get any audio from 2K. But before I do that, I will go ahead and we'll go to the box score, because some of you might see the first half, and you'll see that the Knicks shot against me 60% in the first half, which teams do in real life. But I did want you to see, I did lose this game. I lost it in the last 3 minutes because I was unable to turn some fast breaks into points that resulted in them getting fast breaks that they did convert into points. But with 3.5 minutes left in this game, it was a close game, and in my frustration of losing, I forgot to save the clip. So I do apologize. You only get the first half of this game, but it still highlights the improvements in the slider set. And I did just want to quickly show you guys here with the box score that yes, the Knicks shot against me 60% in the first half, but they only shot 52% total for the game. So you can see in the second half, it definitely evened itself out to bring it down a whole 8%. What killed me is they got a ton of open threes in the first half. I was able to do a better job in the second, but it hurt me. But I did want to show you guys points here. I mean, and one thing is I don't like always using stats to talk about sliders, because everyone plays a different way, and again, everyone's going to be using different teams, and we'll get to that in a second, and different factors play into how your teams play. But I do just want to point out that fast break points pretty even. Points in the paint were fairly realistic. About 50% for them, a little less than 50% for me. But I don't really have a post, a post player really. Most of my bigs pretty much are all kind of stretch bigs that play really. So my points in paint are from attacking. Anyway, second champ points, right there. bench points fairly even, assists fairly even, offensive rebounds fairly even, defensive rebounds. Obviously, they're going to have more since I shot 10% less than they did. But rebounds, I feel like, are still on par with 39 for me and 46 for them. That's pretty good. Steals, very good. Blocks, even. Turnovers, 8 and 10. Um, Typically, as a user, I'll have probably 12 to 13, but I was actually able to play a pretty clean game. Getting 10 turnovers out of the CPU is tougher to do, as many of you guys can see. So I'll take 10. I know the NBA average is around 12 to between 12 and 17, I think. But for this game, without having to do too much that can make the game a little bit of an eyesore to play, I'll take 10 all day. Fouls were dead even, which is what we like. Free throws were pretty close. It's always tough to get the CPU to get more fouls. And when you're playing against a team like the Knicks, they don't really have a lot of players that draw a lot of fouls, so not very many guys that actually attack the hoop. And you can see I was up by 5 there, by 14 there, and that's what they ended up winning by at the end. Time of possession, I don't know why it's showing that off. But anyway, just to show you guys, Doug McDermott killed me. He got wide open threes as I was trying to collapse on Porzingis, who I actually was able to keep in check. I didn't let the Unicorn beat me. They ended up beating me with wide open threes from McDermott, 5 for 8, and Courtney Lee went 4 of 6. So that's how they got me. Clarkson had himself a game for me. Oubre and Billy. Kuzma normally averaged 20 points a game, but this is just an off game for him, but still did well. But anyway, before I get to the gameplay here, and I talk about some things in the first few minutes of the gameplay that I think help resemble real life, I just want to make sure you guys see that this is all going to be dependent on what type of team you're using, your ratings, and then so as you can see, my best rated player is Clarkson, and he is at his best in 80. He's playing at a 79 right now. And as you can see, a lot of my players, because we're on a 3-game losing streak, we're 6 and 11 overall. The majority of my players are playing down a rating, but even still, even if they're playing, I mean, I got a bunch of 180 and a 77, and then a couple 76s if they're all playing at their normal rating. So that you have to take that into consideration too when you're looking at how my team plays offensively and defensively. I don't have any pure. I mean, Kelly Oubre is my best defender defensively on the outside at a C plus. I guess I don't play Lou all day, so that don't count. And inside D, my bet is Ian Mahiney, and he comes off the bench. So I don't really have a lot of defensive players. So giving up 52% with a lower rated team without really good defenders, in my mind, is totally acceptable. And then the other thing that's key is down the bottom right corner. You can see my team chemistry is at 61%. That is huge. You really won't see your team playing good defense, like good overall solid defense, till you hit about 75-80% team chemistry. But in order to do that, you have to win games. If you know, even if you do the training like I did here and you throw your on team chemistry, or you focus on team chemistry, you're really only going to maintain, especially if you're losing, you're going to get it to about 60, 65, but you're really not going to go up from there unless you're winning some games. If you go on 10, 12 game losing streaks, it's going to be tough. So I just wanted you guys to see the roster that I am using in this game, as well as the box score, just so you can see. You can use that as you look at the results. So right now I'm going to phase this clip in with the gameplay and continue the commentary there. Thank you. Alright guys, so here is the first half of gameplay against the Knicks, and this is my first time watching it back, so I'm not really going to do like a play-by-play or anything like that. That's not the point of this. What I am trying to do is just kind of talk about what we see gameplay-wise from the CPU and from and from my players against this. You see a nice move from Porzingis there, one of his few buckets. But the main thing we want to look at is offensive flow for both teams and the ability to get some people open looks. One thing that you can see here is you can get guys actually open a little bit here, and on the drive and kick, to Oubre for the three, that was something that in my previous set would not be open. That collapse was not quite there, and you couldn't get open looks like that. And so that's one thing I was able to clean up with this set, is that if you are able to penetrate off the screen like I did with Kuzma, and they give help defense, that you're able to get an open look for a good shot. And I do have run plays set to 100, so the CPU calls a plays for me every single time on the court. I don't call any plays. I just let them take care of that. It's just one less thing I have to worry about. And Oubre with a mismatch on McDermott was able to get in there and make a layup, which is something that you definitely would look to exploit against a guy like Doug McDermott here. And of course, CPU attacks and comes right back at me, which is always a good thing to see the CPU attack and make some buckets here. But right now, just kind of keep an eye on the spacing as we're running plays here, and that guys are able to get open a little bit, and watch how the defense of the CPU moves. You can see that Oubre went to the bottom corner there and was wide open as McDermott got caught looking when I started making a move with Kuzma, and I took the shot, and if I would have seen Oubre open in the corner, I could have got it to him for another open look. This is just some things that you can see as you're watching this here. I do like the way the CPU runs their offense a little bit. Once I put it up to 52 game speed, I felt like they a little bit more decisive with their movements and execute their plays. And as you can see, some of their attempts down the court, they get the ball up, they get shots up quicker, and other times, like their last possession, they use a little bit of the shot clock, which is good to get a good balance out of everything like that. Nice steal by Cantor on Oubre there. And they got a nice little and one. And that was probably my first mistake in this game, was I got a little too paranoid about their points down low initially, and I started to shrink the floor, and I stuck with it, I think, a little too long, because they started getting a lot of open looks with McDermott and Lee. And as you can see real quick there, just the ability to kick the ball out, and the defender was running out there, and I was able to take off without the defender there and get to the rack. But I switched it to protect the paint, I think, a little too soon, and my defenders aren't very good as is, and they started getting a lot of wide open looks and nailed them just like that. Here the Knicks playing some good defense. I'm not able to find much open, but I was able to get around a little, not a screen, but a little decoy there, and I was luckily able to green the shot, because I doubt that's going in with Oubre otherwise. And there again, another three, since I switched it to protect the paint. CPU took advantage of it, so I definitely, in the off season, I'm going to be looking to upgrade my defense. And here's a nice play call. I was able to get Dinwiddie off of the double screen in for a nice clean layup. And just keep in mind, like I said earlier, that it's really going to depend on your team, your chemistry, your players, how these play. They might play a little bit different for you as far as how your offense works and how you play defense, and also your success, of course, is going to come down to stick skills, which everyone's different level, and then different teams. I picked the Hawks, which is in 2K rated one of the worst rated overall teams in the game. And if you're picking a better team, that has better players, you expect better results. Just because you finish top 5 in the NBA, top 6 in your conference, depending on what team you use, it's not a bad thing. The main goal is realistic, challenging gameplay. This bad defense by Bellinelli. Get a good contest initially, and I just kind of rubbed him off of Tim Hardaway Jr., and he was able to get into the lane. No one's there to do anything about it. I got John Collins and Kyle Kuzma as my big men, so I don't exactly have rim protection. I don't have post scores necessarily that you can just post up. And I do run the Phoenix Suns playbook. I did remove pretty much all isolation plays. I don't like ISO plays at all. Removed all isolation. I removed almost all post-up high, almost all handoff plays, designed handoff plays, and I just run a lot of pick and roll, a lot of screens for mid-range and threes. Cut plays. I have only the cut plays for alley-oops, which I don't really throw, but this is a little bit of an edited playbook, but that's one thing right there. He didn't really come off a crazy screen. He was able to just pop out, and he was able to get some space, enough space to shoot. That's an open jump shot in the NBA, and that's one thing I was wanting to get in this game that we really didn't have in my previous set. Is you couldn't get that open space. That would have been a highly contested jump shot that 9 times out of 10 isn't going in, and that 1 time out of 10 that is going in is because you got lucky and greened it. So the ability just to get some space on defenders to shoot it is something I feel like I achieved pretty well. And there you can see I was able to get into the paint off a screen, which you should be able to do, and they collapsed on the screen, or on the drive, excuse me, and McLemore, it wasn't there. I was able to kick it to the corner for an open 3. Granted, it was Solinger, and I missed it, but we were able to find an open shot, which is really all you can ask for. There's a double screen, they collapse, still get in there, draw the foul. But they played the defense on that double screen a lot better. If you remember the first one they ran with Dinwiddie, I got to the lane, wide open layup. That time they contested it, able to go to the line with Jordan Clarkson. So it's not money every single time, these plays. Some of them will work, some of them won't, which is a good thing you want to see too. That's another reason I do not call my own plays, is I don't want to run into the scenario where I find a play that works every single time and become one of those people that it's cheese. If you find something that works every single time and you just use it whenever you need a bucket or something just because you know it'll work, I don't like that. So I set run plays to 100 so that I don't have to worry about that. I don't know what play's being called. I hardly look. And I just kind of do what's told, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And if I find something that works, then I'm like, all right, awesome. Let's see if it works next time. And if it happens to keep working, awesome. But I'm not calling it over and over again or using it when I need it or anything like that. I'm just rolling with the play calling from the CPU. And they find it wide open. Got lucky on that miss. But you could see the CPU is finding the open looks. And in the set before, the CPU wasn't even getting open looks. You know, both teams are shooting ridiculously low because there's just no way to get people open. So adjustments were made. Porzingis had a good, or was that Hernangomez, I think, with a good contest on Clarkson. Able to get to the paint, good contest, missed the layup. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, gameplay-wise. And that's just tough. And as you can see, they're 12 of 16 to start. They do cool off in the second half, and that'll happen in 2K. User and for CPU, you'll have those hot starts, and you'll cool off, or you'll start cold and get hot, and they incorporate that pretty well. I feel like that happens a lot. Almost every single NBA game, teams will get on hot stretches and stuff, and they do a pretty good job. So it's all about weathering the storm early, and I was able to weather the storm, and I believe I took a lead in the second quarter. I'm going to stop, talking about this game after the first and just let you guys watch the second quarter, and see what I'm talking about as far as gameplay. But that's one thing I think this game does very well, is get those little runs, those little shooting stretches, and they all work out pretty nicely. You see the computer there's ISOing Beasley against McLemore. Weak defenders get the size advantage against a weaker defender, and they ran an isolation, and it worked. And I love seeing that from the CPU with this set, with their offensive awareness up higher. They will go after those mismatches, and it's good to see. Good seal by Mahiney on that play. One thing that I did turn down too from an earlier set was the dunking in traffic, and the dunks were just way too ridiculous. There was way too many dunks. Every drive seemed to be a dunk. Everything was just always a dunk. And see it right there. That was a nice finish by Clarkson in traffic, and in the other set that would have been a dunk. And so I was able to tone that down. So unless you're using a pretty freaky athletic player, like I had a couple dunks with Oubre, but they were cleaner looks. You're going to see a much more realistic amount of dunks in this game from both sides here. So this looks pretty much like the end of the first quarter here, 3.5 seconds. I get a good look actually with McLemore here, but missed it. Anyway,